Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have with us Don Purcell, who's the founder of Clarity Business Coaching. Don, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mike. It's great to be with you.
You too. And, I always like to kind of start off with when I read, hey, look at the person's company name or look at the book they just wrote. And I always like to get that first impression. And boy, Clarity Business Coaching just says a mouthful because one of the favorite books I've read over the last few years is Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. And he says, when you confuse, you lose. So we must be clear. And one of my latest books is called Brevity Plus Clarity Equals Authority. So I'm all about clarity. And I know if you can coach businesses to be more clear, they will succeed. So I want to dive into that, but give us a little bit of your background and what your entrepreneurial journey has been like.
Well, I started my entrepreneurial journey in 1988 when I got fired from a job.
Well, there you have it. There's a great way to start off our interview.
Yeah, I from there I started my own CPA practice and grew that over the years and enjoyed helping people. And then I found I could help people even more through financial planning, and which I still do today. But then I added in Clarity Business Coaching to coach my clients better on how to better use their time, talent, and treasure to run an efficient business with getting clear on their core values and job responsibilities and holding other people accountable as well.
Yeah, that's. I feel like the way that you laid that out was one thing built upon the other and built upon the other, and the need arose, and you were aware of the needs as you were working with your tax clients, and then, I should add in my financial planning services to serve my clients, and then, hey, my clients that tend to be entrepreneurial business owners, they have these needs. I'm going to add this in. So constantly going deeper and serving your clients. So that's just such a great strategy to have.
Yeah, well, that's my purpose in life and in business is to glorify God by serving His people. So that's what I seek to do is serve people in any way I can.
I love it, love it, love it. Now, I share that same value, kingdom-focused value. I love that, and I'm confident that I know the answer to this question, but do you only work with Christian-based, faith-based businesses?
Not exclusively, but it is something that I bring to the table is
yes.
The kingdom focus and the idea of good stewardship, recognizing that it all belongs to God. We're just here to manage it well and make the most of it.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people think in their mind like, oh, hey, great, I'm a Christian business owner. I go to church on Sundays and I do the right thing or follow the golden rule and, my ethics are high. That's wonderful. But it's so much more than that. And I think there's a book I read years ago called The Integrated Life where it's, we're called to be Christians in business and business people who are Christians, and it's not one way or the other or backwards and forwards. It's just we are, and it's not just Monday through Saturday or Monday through Friday, and then put on my church hat on Sunday. So, what are some of the ways that you find that you're helping your clients clarify that in their business, and then maybe some of the results that they're seeing?
Well, recognizing that people are valuable, that don't treat the rank and file roughshod. Consider them valuable and lead them to be the best they can. In the sense from Colossians, do your work heartily as if for the Lord rather than of men, for it's the Lord Christ whom you serve. So it's a different attitude of being a good steward and steward over not only your own time and talent, but those working for you, and getting everybody rowing in the same direction for a common goal. and around core values that attract the right people and repel the wrong people to your business.
That's a really, really good point, and it makes me think of something. When a business owner is able to accomplish that, don't they retain employees longer?
Oh, certainly. That if you have the right people in the right seats, it's going to be a lot more harmonious than having people that don't fit your culture or don't have the skills or time to do the job they've been assigned. Too often people get promoted to their highest level of incompetence. And as a business owner, we're responsible for creating the position, creating the job responsibilities, and then leading those people to do the job well. And if they don't get it, want it, or have the capacity to do the job, no amount of money will ever correct that. That you have to recognize when people are at their limit for a given job and don't promote them beyond that if they don't have the capacity to do the job.
And also the mindset that goes into treating employees that way, that may or may not, put them in the right position and retain them longer. Don't the employees also feel more valued? And one of the outputs of that may be better, service to the clients, or better revenues, or better customer service, because your employees that you're treating that way, feel valued and appreciated, and then that carries over to their everyday work, their interactions with your customers.
Oh yeah, I think there was a Harris poll from years ago that said 40% of employees are disconnected from the job. They're just doing just enough not to get fired. And when in reality, people would rather be part of a team that has a common goal and seeking to accomplish more. And when people feel like they belong, they treat their coworkers better and they treat their customers better. They have a better attitude when dealing with difficult people, and they tend not to be rude or unkind towards those that they're serving. Yes.
And then that pays dividends. It's number one, it's the right way to treat people. Number two, it might pay dividends in your business. So that's excellent. So when you're working with your clients, what are some of the ways that you help them to be efficient and effective and kind of clarify all of that in their business?
Well, I help them establish core values, that is who they are at their core, and then evaluate people not only on their job responsibilities, but whether they fit the culture. I had a client with a couple of owners that one owner did not share the same values as the other. He was messing around with staff and creating trouble, and when I started coaching with him, I brought clarity that, hey, this is a big problem. You're just ignoring it because he's one of the owners, and it's causing trouble in the whole culture of the company. So that sort of clarity brought to bear pressure on the owner to clean up his act, or the values-driven owner was going to terminate him. He had a buyout clause that allowed him to terminate and buy out the offending owner. And when we got rid of the bad apple, who was unfortunately one of the owners, the whole culture of the company improved, and things began working much more efficiently and effectively.
That is sometimes I'm just kind of envisioning that in my mind is like that blocked up pipe, and that one owner you were mentioning is kind of like the cause of the blockage. And then when that can get chipped away, and then removed, now everything is flowing smoothly. And people are like, it's the same pipe, same pipeline, same water coming through it, but now it's not being stopped up. So sometimes it doesn't mean a 360-degree, change in everything. It's just a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit there.
Yeah. Yeah. But when you establish core values, it brings clarity of who's not fitting. And it makes it real easy to systematically tell them to either to shape up, what I call to give them 60 days of grace, have a sit down with them, bring up the issues where they're deficient, have at least 3 examples of behavior that is offending, and give them 30 days. If they haven't cleaned up their act in 30 days, sit down with them again and give them 30 more days. And after 60 days, you make them available for employment elsewhere in the marketplace.
Yeah, you give them that opportunity.
Yeah, and
I like the way you phrase that.
Most people will not last the 60 days. They will see the handwriting on the wall and self-select themselves out of the company that doesn't share their values, or vice versa.
When you are working with a company to help them maybe establish their core values, I would venture to say that the first pass is, surface level, like, oh, well, we value blah, 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 just what, the cliche phrases that people normally are saying. How do you dig in deep enough to get down through all the layers to really get to the true core of core values?
Well, we recognize that the first pass, people are going to put aspirational values, that things that they aspire to become, but they are not yet there. And then we evaluate the core values against, say, one of the top performing people in the company. And if the top performing person and the core values match, then you're closer being on track with what your core values truly are. You discover them more than you invent them. And then you compare the core values against a low performer, and if it's a mismatch, then that again reinforces you're on the right track to what your core values are. And these things may be something like humbly confident, first-class customer service, forgive often and forgive early, welcoming tone, consistency, steady and powerful without fluctuation, grit, demonstrate passion and perseverance towards a goal despite the challenges. So these are just a partial list of dozens of different core values. One company might value teamwork and another one might value independent thinking. And not that one's better than the other, it's just different approach. And once you commit these core values, 3 to 7 values, commit them to writing, then you can compare them to what's actually happening in the culture to see if you're on target or not.
And I've heard it said too, once a company kind of establishes their vision, mission, core values, those kind of things, maybe they've got 5 employees in the building and, they're always, working. I've heard like, how do you make it not just a memo that comes out or an email or a thing that we hang on the wall? So the owner would go around and go, hey, Betty, nice to see you today. Thanks for your hard work. And hey, pop quiz. What's a core value? One of our core values. And as soon as that person answers it right or close to right, maybe there's this nice gift card to a restaurant just to reward that behavior. So what have you found with your clients once they discover and write them down and all that to make sure that they actually get embedded into the organization?
Well, it starts with the leader of the company giving what we call the speech. outlining the core values and giving an example of what that means, in specific situations, and then reinforcing that every quarter, because you have to tell people 7 times the message until they finally get it.
Mm.
The first time the owner gives the speech, he's going to get the rolling of the eyes and say, "Oh, here's the latest trend again."
Yeah, let's give him 2 weeks.
Right. And the owner has to take the attitude of, instead of saying, "I've told them 3 times, how many more times do I have to go before they get it?" And the attitude should be, I've told them 3 times, I only have 4 more times to go, and they're going to catch on. So it's got to be full commitment to the core values, and recognizing that, the culture you have now is the one you've allowed to happen without any direction or thoughtfulness. It's like starting on a trip across the sea. If you don't have a rudder, know where you're going, you're going to be buffeted by the winds and the waves, and your chances of finding a safe port are 1,000 to 1. You have to move forward with intention of developing a culture that you want, and you'll attract the people that are going to fit the culture and repel, like I said, repel those that don't fit. It's got to be part of the hiring process too.
Yeah.
The speech has got to be part of every person you hire to let them know what kind of culture they can expect.
And that really does set the stage then for a hire, like someone that you're interviewing. Part of the interview process is the speech again, to say part of our core values are, and what we do is we. And then now, that person may or may not, interviewee may self-select and say, you know what, it just doesn't fit with what I want, or it might excite them all the much more to accept that position. So like you said, it can polarize people one way or the other, and that's what it's meant to do.
Right, exactly. And then, your example of asking a staffer what are one of the core values, just as a way to ongoing reinforce it. Another way is to have the staff nominate, the employee of the month based on core values, and the can pass from department to department, and so it infiltrates the whole company.
Yes. And like I said about the example about rewarding with a gift card, as opposed to, oh, you didn't get it right, so your name goes on the wall, and the wall of shame, you didn't get it. So it reminds me of that old book called Whale Done. It's something I read years ago, but it's a fictional story of this business consultant that goes down to SeaWorld, watches the trainers, do the show with Shamu, and goes, "Hey, how do you train that big old whale? What do you do? Zap him when he does wrong things?" And they're like, no, just the opposite. When he does what we want, we reward that. And because we want to reward the activity. And he goes back to his company and he's like, okay, I'm going to start rewarding the activity that I'm looking for. And then all of a sudden, things start turning around. So is that part of the culture that you would want? Obviously, you would want to see that with your clients, but what are some of the examples that you've seen in rewarding good behavior?
Well, that's you make a great point that you get a lot more done, attract more flies with honey than you do with vinegar.
Yeah.
That, just holding people accountable for knowing the core values, not punishing, but reinforcing, getting the whole staff together on a quarterly basis to make them feel part of a team, and at the same time reinforce those core values. And then weekly meetings at department level, so that everyone knows what they expect to accomplish during the week, and not be bogged down in a project that they need help but are afraid to ask, and just being open and honest for the greater good of the company. And so that's a big part of it, as well as good communication, creating an atmosphere where people say, hey, I'm not making progress on this project. I need help. I need guidance, because the manager or leader is there to help his people succeed and to overcome hurdles. Because if you have someone in HR and someone in payroll going back and forth on whose job it is to complete a certain task, you're never going to, those low-level employees are never going to solve it on their own. They have to have the VP of HR and the CFO get together to solve that and remove those obstacles. And that's a big part of what a lot of people don't realize is, as leaders and managers, we're there to remove those obstacles and solve those problems that can't be solved by a low-level staffer.
Well, Don, it's been clear to me that, there's so many nuances of business success, from, communication to hiring to making sure people are in the right job, and then to how to manage the money. So I really appreciate your time coming on today. If someone has a question for you or would like to reach out and connect with you, what's the best way they can learn more about your services?
Go to my website, cbizcoach.co. That's the letter C, BIZCOACH.co. It's my website, and it's best to reach me there, and you can actually schedule a free phone call, no cost, no obligation, right there on the website.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Don. It was a pleasure having you on the show today.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.